answer to. I'm half crazy,
all for the love of you. It won't be a stylish marriage.
Hello, Cubanwriter here, and today I'm going to review the film War Machine. Many of you may not have heard of War Machine, even though it is a film with Brad Pitt as its lead. I feel like back in the day, War Machine would have been a small independent film that Brad Pitt did as a palate cleanser between major productions. Nowadays, all of the online content providers are funding these films to create a competitive environment with one another to see who can come up with the best star and the best project to fill up their libraries so that people choose them when they're deciding which online provider of entertainment they want to pay for. It's really nice seeing these kinds of films, especially getting the kind of money behind them that they never would have been able to get if they were small independent productions. War Machine is about the Afghanistan conflict, and specifically about a time General Glenn McMahon was brought in an attempt to win the Afghanistan conflict. You can't see the air quotes, but I'm using air quotes when I say the word win, because the movie implies that he really wasn't brought in to win the conflict, but rather to show some kind of action in the war that might bring political favor to the president long enough for his presidency to be seen in a positive light before the next poor schlup of a president gets stuck trying to manage this conflict, which is essentially unmanageable because it's unwinnable. The character of General McMahon actually believes that he can make a real difference and even make a name for himself in the history books by doing what no one else can do: winning Afghanistan. Of course, as all of us know, Afghanistan is the perpetual failure machine that one president after another has had to deal with since 2001. It's hard for me to say much about Brad Pitt's performance in this piece because I don't know much about the real general this is based on. I only know, really, what this movie has told me about him. It feels like Brad Pitt is doing a caricature or parody, because it seems like every characteristic of the general is exaggerated and overblown for comedic value. But is it? I don't know. I've never met the general, and I've never really seen anything about him on television. I barely know from one presidency to the other who is managing these conflicts. But without knowing the general, I have to say, it really does feel like an exaggerated caricature. The way that physical characteristics are overblown by a political artist or a caricature artist at Disney World who wants to draw a comedic picture of you, where he might exaggerate a nose or make super big ears. I feel like the characteristics of General McMahon have been exaggerated by Brad Pitt. This is kind of strange because most people in the movie seem to be playing it pretty straight, whereas he seems to be the big political cartoon in the middle of a fairly ordinary film. The only other character which might be exaggerated this way is Ben Kingsley, who's playing the leader of Afghanistan. But on the other hand, given what I know about the puppet leaders we have put in place, I am not actually sure whether he's exaggerating at all or whether this is pretty much the way things are. As always, Ben Kingsley does comedy fairly well and has some humorous moments in the film, but the film doesn't have enough humorous moments for me to consider it a comedy, and it doesn't have enough serious moments for me to consider it a drama. I'm really not sure how to categorize it. It reminded me a little bit of the Pentagon Wars with Kelsey Grammer, but I don't think it quite achieved the ironic comedic tone that the Pentagon Wars did when trying to criticize the U.S. military's procurement process. The best part of the film actually has nothing to do with the main character McMahon directly, nor is Brad Pitt in it. It involves a combat scene by one of the units in Afghanistan, and how one person kind of breaks away from their orders in order to actually get something done, and in the process creates a tragedy that must be addressed. And when we see how it's addressed, it's probably the best commentary on our presence in the Middle East and in Afghanistan that the movie has to offer. And really, it's one of the better commentaries about our presence there that I've seen in any film recently. But despite this one glowing moment, I don't know that I can rate the film as anything other than okay with a lean towards the good side. It's not the kind of thing I would tell anyone to go out of their way to watch, but if you're really bored and you want to see another critique of our war in the Middle East, you could do worse. You could also do better. In the end, I give War Machine 3 out of 5 War Machines. It's just good enough to get a positive rating without being good enough to get any kind of urgency in encouraging people to watch it. Well, that's my take on Netflix's War Machine with Brad Pitt. This is Cubanwriter signing out, and I'll catch you next time.
But you'll look sweet upon the seat of a bicycle built for two. Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer too.